Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. The Big Ten is going to be a very competitive conference in 2023. The East is loaded with powerhouses like Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. The West, wide open once again, per usual. But when you look at the Big Ten, there's only a handful of truly elite quarterbacks within this conference. The rest, mediocre or severely below average. So today, guys, we're going to be ranking every single Big Ten quarterback heading into this college football season, going from 14th all the way to 1st. Who's the best in the Big Ten? We're about to find out. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We're so glad that you could join us today. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, including our website, thegridironexpert.com, because guys, here at the Gridiron Expert, college football never dies. The season never ends, and we want you to become a part of our GE Nation. Everything that we're bringing to you right here at the channel, 24/7, 365. So let's just go ahead and dive into these rankings, guys. We'll go through them kind of quick. Coming in at last, 14th in the conference, it's the Michigan State quarterback situation. Golly, it's brutal. If Peyton Thorne was still around, obviously Michigan State would not be last in our rankings. But Peyton Thorne transferred out to Auburn, which leaves Noah Kim and Caden Hauser in there together. Neither of those scream world beaters. Neither of those give the Michigan State offense some warm, fuzzy feelings, especially when you lose your top wide receiver, Keon Coleman, to Florida State as well. So the Michigan State offense might struggle quite a bit in 2023. I lean Noah Kim in terms of this battle, unless Mel Tucker goes out and finds some sort of veteran quarterback to come in and substitute. But right now, the Spartans are hurting at the quarterback position. And while I think Kim gets the job, it could be a rough year across the board. In at number 13, the Indiana quarterback situation. It's not good either. Hoosiers might be in for another tough year. This could spell the end of Tom Allen in Bloomington. Got Taven Jackson, Dexter Williams II, and Brendan Sorsby. Jackson transfers in from Tennessee, where he hardly had any playing time whatsoever. Williams is rehabbing his knee, might not be even ready to go by week 1, and Sorsby is just a redshirt freshman. None of those scream world beaters. If you're Indiana, you're not getting warm, fuzzy feelings from your quarterback room right now. Allen has mentioned that he's looking for a veteran quarterback, but it's May right now. I don't know if anything's going to change for Indiana here in these next couple of weeks, as we're only a few months away from the start of the season. So right now, not much confidence for Indiana and their offense and the quarterback position. I lean Taven Jackson getting that starting job, if anything, but it still could be a rough go-around for the Hoosiers in 2023. Number 12, let's go to Minnesota. Ethan Kaliakmanis. That is going to be the quarterback for Minnesota this year, replacing the great Tanner Morgan. Again, it's hard to fill the shoes of such a legendary and consistent quarterback. But Kaliakmanis did have some solid starting experience last year. Started the final 4 games, was 19 for 29 with 319 yards and 2 touchdowns last year in the finale against Wisconsin. But this is still a Minnesota team that wants to rely heavily on their defense and their run game. Kaliakmanis can do short and intermediate routes, but those deep balls, or deeper routes, that's something that you're kind of concerned about if you're a Minnesota fan. But again, you really didn't see much of that in years past anyway. So it's an interesting situation for PJ Fleck right now as the Gophers are trying to row the boat finally to a Big Ten West title. But I don't know if Kaliakmanis can be the one to deliver it. And at number 11, the Rutgers quarterback situation. It's interesting. Is it going to be Gavin Wimsatt? Is it going to be Evan Simon? I'm not sure. But I do know for sure that Noah Vedral is finally out of Piscataway. It feels like he had been there forever. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. He did everything he could with the Scarlet Knights. But this now opens up the competition for Wimsatt and Simon. And I will say that Gavin Wimsatt, was highly touted coming out of high school. He is certainly the more athletic of the two quarterbacks, certainly has more dual threat capabilities than Evan Simon. But he needs to work on his passing and his decision-making quite a bit. Simon's quite the opposite. Maybe not as much of a dual-threat quarterback as Wimsatt, but a little bit better of a thrower than he is. So, you get the best of both worlds if you're Greg Schiano, but ultimately you've got to settle on a quarterback, and you can't go back to that dual quarterback system that he kind of ran every now and then early on in his career with Rutgers. So this is a year where Rutgers is expecting to break out. They're expecting to hopefully reach a bowl game under Greg Schiano, and to do so, they're going to need improved quarterback play, regardless of who it's from, although I lean Gavin Wimsatt getting the starting job. And at number 10, Ben Bryant over at Northwestern. This literally just happened like last week. Bryant transfers to the Wildcats from Cincinnati, and it's a big, big pickup for Pat Fitzgerald and Northwestern. They needed quarterback help drastically, and Bryant's going to win the starting job, and he's going to give them that help immediately. Threw for over 2,700 yards, 21 touchdowns last year with Cincinnati. The year before, threw for over 3,100 yards with Eastern Michigan. He's extremely accurate, completing at least 61% of his passes each of the last 2 years. It's a major upgrade at the quarterback position for Northwestern, and while it may not translate to a bowl berth or a Big Ten West title like we've seen in years past, it's going to give Northwestern a much better offense and one that literally could have been beaten by a high school team, if I'm being completely honest. And at number 9, Illinois, their quarterback situation. It's interesting. Luke Altmaier, transferring in from Ole Miss, is in the mix and more than likely going to get the job. But right behind him, you have John Paddock, who started every game for Ball State in the MAC last year, throwing for over 2,500 yards and 18 touchdowns. Altmaier might be the better in terms of a skill set. Paddock certainly has more experience. So an interesting dilemma there for Brett Bielema and this Illinois team that is certainly on the rise in the Big Ten West. I lean Luke Altmaier getting that starting job, but it's going to be something to keep your eye on over these next couple months. And at number 8, big-time transfer for Purdue, Hudson Card is a huge pickup for the Boilermakers and new head coach Ryan Walters because they lose a great quarterback in Aiden O'Connell. Card threw for over 900 yards and 6 touchdowns last year at Texas when Quinn Ewers went down with an injury. Played a little bit in 2021 as well before he got banged up some. Lots of potential for Hudson Card, though. He's got a quick release, a solid pocket passer. I think this is a great transition quarterback for a first-year head coach in a program that is losing one of the best passers in school history. So this is a really good pickup for Purdue. Right middle of the pack, average Big Ten quarterback here, but I think Card has the skill set enough to get Purdue to a bowl game in 2023. In number 7, now in the top half of the conference, we have Cade McNamara over at Iowa now, over the Iowa quarterback. Big transfer to the Hawkeyes, kind of like a Ben Bryant in the sense of it's a huge pickup for Iowa. You know, Cade McNamara, Ben Bryant, they're not world beaters. They're not some of the best quarterbacks in the country or anything, but they're significant upgrades over what Iowa and Northwestern had last year. Keep in mind, McNamara led Michigan to the college football playoff in 2021, threw for over 2,500 yards and 15 touchdowns that year, completing 64.2% of his passes. He's not flashy. He's not going to torch you through the air, but he is a leader. He is accurate, and he can deliver, and he's significantly better than Spencer Petras, and that is exactly what Iowa needs. So the experience of leading a team to a college football playoff and being accurate and calm under pressure puts McNamara in at number 7. And at number 6, Kyle McCord at Ohio State. You know, I feel like he's pretty much got the job won. You know, everybody says that he's still competing for the job. I think when week 1 starts, it's going to be the Kyle McCord show in Columbus. I think he's going to get the job with the Buckeyes. Again, not much experience, but the time that we have seen him, even if it was just garbage time, Kyle McCord has kind of left us in shock and awe. Has a very, very strong arm, is extremely accurate. And, you know, we've seen this time and time again with Ohio State where they lose a generational quarterback and it's like, can someone fill the shoes? We were saying that about CJ Stroud a few years ago. Will CJ Stroud be able to fill in and do okay with Ohio State? And he did just fine. I'm not saying Kyle McCord is going to be exactly like that, but I think that we might be a little too hard on him. I think this is a guy that's going to do just fine with Ohio State and will have them in the hunt for another Big Ten title and a potential college football playoff berth as well. Number 5, Drew Aller over at Penn State, another guy that Penn State fans are pumped about, and they have every reason to be. 6'5", 242 pounds, and has a great frame and a very, very strong arm. He only attempted 60 passes last year. Obviously, Sean Clifford getting the majority of those reps, but in those garbage time performances that we saw, Aller looked really good. He finished the year with 344 yards and 4 touchdowns. He has a lot of just, again, pure arm strength, a lot of great football knowledge and IQ. He's a major upside quarterback. So, you know, I think he's going to deliver the results in year 1. I really do. But I think even next year could be better for Penn State in this offense. So I love what they've got at quarterback. I love what they got at running back. But Aller, to me, certainly a top 5 quarterback in the Big Ten. And at number 4, Jeff Sims over at Nebraska. How about this? You talk about a quarterback with a lot of upside. This is it. And I think Matt Rule is going to develop Jeff Sims into a really good player in Lincoln. This is a guy that has a lot of experience with the Power 5 program. Jeff Sims throwing for over 4,300 yards and 30 touchdowns in 3 years at Georgia Tech. Also rushed for over 1,100 yards and 11 touchdowns in those 3 years with the Yellow Jackets. I think the mobility is what makes Jeff Sims so dangerous. The mobility is what's going to make him a top 4 quarterback in the Big Ten. He certainly has to work on his passing, certainly has to work on his accuracy and decision-making as he threw 23 interceptions in those 3 years. But that dual threat capability is going to make Nebraska's offense a lot better, significantly better, and much more dangerous. So they can just tweak that accuracy, tweak that decision-making a little bit, watch out, because Jeff Sims and Matt Rule could do some special things for the Cornhuskers in 2023. And at number 3, J.J. McCarthy over at Michigan. He beat out Cade McNamara last year for that starting job and then promptly led Michigan to another college football playoff berth. McCarthy, over 2,700 yards, 22 touchdowns, 5 interceptions on the year, also rushed for over 300 yards and 5 touchdowns. So 27 total touchdowns there, completing 64.6% of his passes. I love everything about J.J. McCarthy. He is in a run-first type of offense, yet when they called upon him, he consistently delivered. He was always very accurate. He was calm under pressure. Nothing really seemed to faze him. This is, again, a guy that I think throughout the year somehow continuously got better in an offense where they were continuously handing the ball off to Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. So this is a really, really good quarterback and a sneaky good quarterback that sometimes we don't get to see him display his full skill set, but when you do see that from time to time, he'll torch you. I mean, go back and look at that playoff game. He was electric against TCU despite the loss. So I'm very, very excited to see McCarthy again in 2023. And at number 2, Tanner Mordecai at Wisconsin. This guy wasn't even in the Big Ten last year, and yet he claims our number 2 spot in our rankings. He's a huge upgrade. Talk about upgrades in the Big Ten. Iowa gets an upgrade at quarterback. Wisconsin's getting an upgrade at quarterback. Northwestern is getting an upgrade at quarterback. So some big-time changes. Nebraska, you could argue, is getting an upgrade at quarterback. Mordecai might be the best of them all, though. Huge upgrade coming in from SMU, where he threw for over 7,100 yards and 72 touchdowns in the last 2 years with the Mustangs. Has completed at least 65% of his passes in both of those years. He's obviously very, very accurate, has an extremely strong arm. He can lead a very high-octane, up-tempo offense, which is what Luke Fickell and Phil Longo are kind of trying to go for in Madison. I love this quarterback, and I love this Wisconsin offense. Mordecai paired with Braylon Allen, paired with all the wide receiver transfers that Luke Fickell brought in. Watch out for the Badgers in Madison. Coming at number 1, kind of a shock maybe to some, Talia Tagovailoa at Maryland. Yes, the brother of Tua Tagovailoa of the Miami Dolphins. He is putting on a show, and people aren't talking about it. He is a major reason for Maryland's resurgence, right? He owns school records. He's got a whole year left to play, but he owns the school records for passing yards, completions, completion percentage, passing touchdowns, 300-yard games, and total offense. Threw for over 3,000 yards and 18 touchdowns last year. Threw for over 3,800 yards and 26 touchdowns in 2021. Has completed at least 67% of his passes in each of the last 2 seasons. He's putting up unreal numbers. His stats are off the charts. He is calm, poised, under pressure. You know, make the argument now, was Tua or Talia better? I still think Tua was a little bit better, but I see where Talia gets it from, because this is one heck of a quarterback, and many would quickly say, oh, McCarthy's the best, Kyle McCord's the best, whoever. No. Talia Tagovailoa at Maryland is the best quarterback in this conference, and to me, there is no debating that. There is no disputing that. Maryland might not be competing for a Big Ten title or anything like that, but they certainly have the best quarterback in all of the Big Ten. No doubt about it. So, guys, there you have it. There are your Big Ten quarterback rankings from first to worst, and we're just a few months out from finally getting to see these guys in action. So make sure to leave your rankings down in the comments below. Leave your thoughts as we get one step closer to the college football season. So, guys, as always, thank you so much again for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, including our website, thegridironexpert.com, because, again, here at the Gridiron Expert, college football never dies. The season never ends here at our channel. We want you to become a part of our GE Nation. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.